cannot bet regulators. We 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 cannot bet. We cannot bet. We cannot bet. We cannot bet regulators. We cannot bet regulators. We cannot bet regulators. We cannot.
And this is of interest. The communities of interest. And this is of interest. The communities of interest. And this is of interest. The communities of interest. And this is of interest. The community. This is the community. This is community. Community.
What up? This is your boy Crisscross 304, and you're listening to the community. Thanks for joining us today. Lots to talk about in the world of sports. So let's get right to it. Last night, you had a pair of NBA conference semifinal games. 76ers took on the Raptors, and the Nuggets hosted the Trailblazers. So how'd those go down? If you don't know by now, 76ers won 94-89. Frantic moments in the final seconds. The Trailblazers were well behind, caught back up in the fourth quarter, got it to 90-89. The crowd was going crazy, but then 76ers finished the game with the next 4 points. Jimmy Butler, 30 points high for his team, and then Kawhi Leonard, another 35 points tonight after 45 points in the previous games. That's 80 points in 2 games. But unfortunately, the Raptors split the series right now, 1-1 heading back to Philadelphia. So they're going to have to win a game in Philadelphia or in order to avoid going back home down 3-1. You also had the Nuggets versus Trailblazers. Many thought Trailblazers would win this game. They did not. They lost 121-113. They were well rested. The Nuggets just played a Game 7 a few days back against the Spurs, won that game by 4 points, or maybe not 4 points, but I know it was close. It was 4 points, 4-point game against the Spurs in the winning seconds, and the Spurs took a while to foul, or maybe they didn't foul. I just cannot quite remember, but that was a situation, a disappointing loss for the Spurs in Game 7. But nonetheless, the most important thing here is that the Nuggets didn't have much time to rest and were in a hard-fought series between a 2 and 7 seed. That's not what you want in the first round, the 2 seed being the Denver Nuggets, but they were forced to a Game 7. Last night, Nikola Jokic, 37 points, 11 for 18, 12 of 12. That's right, count them. 100% from the free throw line, 12 of 12. So 37 points really carrying the Denver Nuggets. Damian Lillard was no joke, had 39 points and at least kept the game within reach in the fourth quarter. But nonetheless, the Denver Nuggets did win. After hearing what Jokic had to say, I thought it'd be important for you to hear. Let's hear what he said last night following the game.
I mean, when the game comes, it's fun, you know. It's something like something different. It's just fun playing basketball. When the game comes, it's fun. Yeah.
So Nikola Jokic saying the game is fun, and that's important, right? I mean, if you're having fun, usually you're having fun when you're winning, and that's what the Nuggets did. So the game is much more fun when you're winning, but nonetheless, having fun, playing team basketball, and enjoying the game, and that leads to victories. Make no mistake about it. Again, the Nuggets a 2 seed, looking to win and get to the Warriors or Rockets, and we'll discuss that game coming up tonight. Here's more of what Jokic had to say.
I mean, they need to respect him, so because he's a really good scorer. So if you set a good screen for him, they need to react, and then just a chain reaction. You know, he's gonna find an open guy, and tonight he was really good at that.
So he's discussing his teammates' ability to find open shots, work around picks, things of that nature. And again, we just talked about that. It's team basketball, setting up plays, executing those plays, and more times than not, someone is open. And what you didn't see a lot of dunks last night from the Nuggets. You saw a lot of open shots, 3-pointers, and again, those type of things lead to victories. Jokic goes on.
I mean, I think in nowadays basketball it's really hard to stop someone just because the players are extremely talented, they have a lot of work hours in the shots in the.
And yeah, it's hard to stop anyone at this point in the NBA. These guys are all so good offensively. That's why defense becomes very important, forcing guys to have tough shots. But a lot of times they're going to make those tough shots at this level. These guys aren't in the NBA because they can't score. They're in the NBA because they can score, and for many of them, defense helps them maintain starting jobs on different teams. You even heard guys like Steve Kerr, coach of the Warriors, say, you're not going to stop James Harden from getting 30 every night. But if you can contain everyone around him, we're going to win the game. And that was during a TV timeout. Jokic continues.
I think I can read everything. So I just need to know what they're going to do. You know, I think San Antonio was playing one way, Portland was playing one way. I mean, it's completely different games at all. So, but I think I'm capable of reading those defenses.
Yeah, matchups are everything in the playoffs. One thing you are noticing already has all 4 conference semifinals are underway. One has 2 games complete. We just talked about that. The Raptors won. The 76ers won. Their series is split going back to Philadelphia. But matchups are everything. But one thing you are seeing is guys are playing much harder. During the regular season, the defense sometimes is lacking. Sometimes isn't always there. Guys take plays off. You see more slam dunks. I make videos on slam dunks, so I especially know this and watch this. It's much harder to find slam dunks in the playoffs. They're not as plentiful. Guys are playing better defense up and down the court, and they're worn out and exhausted more times than not when the game is over, because they're playing 100% at all times, and this also forces you to use the bench. But Jokic, talking about matchups are everything. He continues on.
I think it's a really good game for us. It's Game 7 playoff against really good, experienced team, and I think the level of physicality, the level of pace was really on a high level that night. So it was really tough game for us to.
So again, everyone's playing at such a high level, and more than that, the games are very, very close, making it more enjoyable to watch. And you really, other than the Warriors, and they got a tough matchup against the Rockets, like that series is far from over. But other than the Warriors, if you take the Warriors out of the equation for a second, I mean, who else would you pick to go to the finals in either conference? I mean, it's really a toss-up. I mean, in the West, the Nuggets, any of those teams, the Trailblazers, the Rockets, any of those teams could easily make it to the finals. And then in the East, the 76ers, the Bucks, the Celtics, the Raptors, those are the top 4 teams. And they're all in the conference semifinals. And you've already seen, other than the Celtics-Bucks, and I think you'll see a closer game tonight, all the games have been really close in the fourth quarter. And that's the situation. And Jokic finishes up with this.
I think tonight's game was really sloppy. Both ends, there was not much defense. Us and them had a lot of turnovers.
And that just adds to, you're saying a lack of defense. Well, when you get turnovers, that's defense too. But a lot of times the offensive team, with these guys' ability in the NBA, should be protecting the ball offensively. So when you have a lot of turnovers, that's obviously offensive mistakes. So that's Nikola Jokic discussing the game last night. And again, the Nuggets win 121-113. And every team but the Bucks won at home in Game 1. However, the 76ers did go on the road and get Game 2, 94-89 against the Raptors. So that wraps up last night's games. What's going on tonight? The Celtics are back at Milwaukee for Game 2. That was the shocker. Not really a shocker, but the Celtics won Game 1 on the road. And what that means is that the Celtics can get a win tonight and be up 2-0 and go back to Boston. Percentages will show that they're going to win this game in either 4 or 5 games. So that's not good for the Bucks. This is pretty much, if there is one, a must-win game. Of course, when I say must-win outside of an elimination game or Game 7, this is still a must-win game, even though it's only Game 2. Many commentators saying this series could already be over, done in 4 or 5 games. Especially, it will start to get. You'll start to hear more of that if the Bucks cannot win Game 2 and at least split the series going back to Boston. But nonetheless, this is going to be a 6 or 7 game series if the Bucks do win tonight. You got to figure they'll lose one of the next 3, and there'll be at least 6 or 7 games if the Bucks can win this game, turning this into a great series. But nonetheless, the series has started. The road team has won a game. You've heard that old adage by now. The Celtics won on the road and won, so the series is officially begun. Last but not least, moving to football, a couple big stories in the NBA draft, but none bigger than the Miami Dolphins making a trade to get Josh Rosen, 22-year-old quarterback who says he believes he can be a franchise QB for the Miami Dolphins. So if you've seen the movie Draft Day with Kevin Costner, in that movie, there was a guy that played the character of Bryce Drew, and he was the quarterback like Josh Rosen, where they made a big trade up to the number 1. Everyone thought they were going to get the quarterback, and he ends up going into Kevin Costner's office and tearing the place up because he's pissed, and that's what you got in Josh Rosen. He's a starting quarterback of the Arizona Cardinals. He knows that Kyler Murray's going number 1, so he's going to come with a chip on his shoulder to Miami, and Miami, getting rid of Tannehill and moving on from that situation, bringing in Ryan Fitzpatrick. Josh Rosen will have to beat him out, but I believe that he will do that, and Josh Rosen will play with a chip on his shoulder in 2019 for the Dolphins. Does that mean they're going to the playoffs? Does that mean they'll have a winning season? That is still up in the air as the Dolphins, have a new football coach and things of that nature. But going forward, I think Josh Rosen will be the guy for the Miami Dolphins, especially when you say 22 years old, and we all know that he can play football. That's it. That's the show today. Short and sweet, quick sports update. This is your boy, Crisscross 304, and guess what? You're listening to the community. Holla back.
And this is of interest. The community is of interest. And this is of interest. The community is of interest. And this is of interest. The community is of interest. And this is of interest. The community is of interest. This is of interest. The community. This is the community. This is community. 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 Community.